know? Nobody knew what building was going to be hit next.
Yeah, I remember seeing people jumping out the buildings beneath the 5 floors. And I thought, I guess this is the only choice. To either stay in the building and fry, or to jump to the depths. Sight I don't think I'll ever forget. I started to say to Helen how helpless I felt, knowing there was nothing I could do but watch them fall to the depths.
I met another auxiliary officer. Yeah, I guess he became my partner at that point. An old woman came up to him and said there was a human body part of one of the cars over there. So he went to take a look. And then he called me to where he was standing. It was a black Jeep. The roof had dented in towards the middle from the front and the back. And right in the middle. Right in the middle is what looked like a human heart.
By this point, we see police coming from everywhere saying that they needed to evacuate the area. And there's dead streets because traffic is completely stalled. There's people running all over the place. The Brooklyn Bridge is not too far off and full of people walking. We're scared. I'm crying. My friend Anna's crying. We're just, you know, trying to make sense out of the situation.
At that point, while waiting for directions, I heard a loud rumble, so I looked up and saw the first tower collapse on itself.
I hear a roar. And I look at my friend Anna. I'm like, you heard that shit, right? You fucking heard that shit. And then we hear it again. And then the floor started to tremble. All I did was run. I was like, let's get the fuck out of here. So I'm running, right? And I look back. And that's when the first tower fell.
I'm on the phone, on the balcony while this is all happening. So you know me, I'm taking pictures of everything that's going on. So I've got the phone in one hand, the camera in the other, and I'm just taking pictures. Tower 1 starts coming down, then Tower 2 starts falling, and I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God, it's falling. It's really falling. What do you mean it's falling? I'm telling you it's falling. So then one of my neighbor's mothers called. She's like a senior citizen. So she's telling me that she has some beauty appointment that day. And she's asking me if she should go out and do her hair. I'm looking at her like, listen, people tend to get a little crazy during situations like these, so I think you should reschedule that appointment and do your hair another day.
At that point, we heard a loud boom, and we look up, and we see the tower just coming down. It was pure chaos at that point. People started running everywhere.
I, along with everyone else, started running for our lives. About half a block down, this huge tremendous cloud of smoke, dust, and debris caught up with us. At that point, it got dark. So dark you couldn't see an inch in front of you.
I'm trying to run. But to run made no sense because you aren't going to run that, you know? So we were just trying to suck in whatever it is. Trying to breathe with these wet handkerchiefs and what have you, you know? It was like, we were like running through this snowstorm. This guy at this Jewish Holocaust Center, he was like trying to get us in. And I'm like, whoa. This is terrorist stuff. This is the very place not to be.
Everything had been going on for only an hour if even, and it felt like 10 days had passed by. Then they announced that the Pentagon had been hit. And so me and my mother were like, all right, this is something very serious. And we started praying in the bar. Right there in the bar, we started praying. I was like, look, it's the end of the world. It's time out to call on the Lord. I got to make sure my heart is right.
When I heard about what happened to the Pentagon and I saw the towers collapse on TV, I was like, this is crazy, you know? It was just like, it's like a scene out of a movie. And I couldn't help myself but thinking, you know, probably we're all gonna die. I kept thinking if the White House was next, and remember that movie Independence Day? Remember that scene where the aliens blew up the White House? Okay, yeah, that's what I kept seeing replaying in my head.
As I went back into the street, into this chaos, I saw this hot solo ambulance and I went on it. Other members were already on it and they needed oxygen pretty badly. They were covered from head to toe in this debris. The equipment was covered. The ambulance was covered. We all had to share our oxygen masks since we all really needed it. With each and every one of us saying to each other, you need it more than I.
We all started meeting back, everyone from the meeting. And this guy was all blooded up and cut up. We just learned that both 1 and 2 World Trade Centers It's already 1 o'clock. I still had to call home. So I used the phone to call my wife. He was yelling and screaming. My son was going completely bananas. They knew I would stay in the World Trade like I did back in '93.
By the time we got to 34th Street, both towers had already fell. You can see the World Trade Center from 34th and 6th, and it was gone. I was like, this isn't happening. Paranoia in full kicked in, and I'm a drama queen as it is, so you can imagine. So I started walking to 42nd Street, and I get there, and there's thousands of people just looking up at the big screen. And I'm thinking to myself, hello, it's a fucking terrorist attack. What makes you think they're not going to attack Times Square, you know? And I kept thinking of anything monumental, of something that meant something to the city. Places I didn't want to be.
I was at the subway entrance. There was this guy, right? Police department, I don't know. I just remember this guy and this woman was with him. And she just kept on asking me, when are we? In hell are we? And he said, lady, look, do you not know what just happened? You're not getting through. Nobody's getting through. The subways are down. You can't get through. So that's when I realized, you know what? I can't just stay around. So I started walking.
The train started running.
There were F-16s, airplanes all over. People didn't know whether or not we were going to be attacked. Like people were scared. They kept moving. They looked like zombies. I remember as I was going across the bridge, trying to get a running back into the city.
So everybody just went their separate ways.
I got home, and I just hugged my mother and my baby together.
I pulled into the West Side Highway, and I remember seeing all these people looking for rides out the city, but I don't pick up hitchhikers, so I didn't do anything. But now that I think about it, they were just people trying to get out the city, you know? Now that I think about it, I doubt any of them had any devious plans, so it's stupid. I feel bad.
Meanwhile, they were thinking that, you know, over 40,000 people were dead. So they had set up a temporary morgue because they thought, well, first they thought that the hospitals were being inundated with injuries. When the injuries never came, they knew the bodies would be next. So they had to prepare. They got out the refrigerated trailers and all that stuff, you know. No clear roles, no hierarchy, no one in charge. Although everybody did look to the police department for the ultimate responsibility, all these agencies rushed in to get the job done. Everyone got involved.
The police department started sending in boats to carry people off Manhattan to Liberty Park, New Jersey. I got off the hot solo ambulance and headed towards the boats. When I got there, they were only letting women and children at the time. I went to the front of the line and I told them I was a paramedic. They let me on. The helplessness I felt, standing around without my equipment. Once we got to Liberty Park, New Jersey, they had this huge tent set up to triage patients. And I saw Fire Chief Murphy there. He was having chest pains. And I got him some oxygen in the ambulance to take him to the hospital, and he was very thankful. He was there for about like an hour or two and caught up with me. I haven't eaten all day.
Steve's father was on his way to work. He was supposed to be in earlier, but due to a misunderstanding, he went in later and decided to take the bus. And he watched. I can't even imagine. He watched the towers crumble with his son inside. There aren't words to describe feelings. Feelings come afterward. At the time, you just do what you have to do. You hope. Pray that one day your loved one will walk through the door. That wasn't to be. We watched my daughter
be strong for her 2 children who are 4 and 5. And she's trying to make sense of it all, you know? The only thing that really made sense was to pray. So we gathered together and prayed together. And prayed on our own.
When I saw that second plane hit, I knew that terrorism was involved and that Osama bin Laden was to blame. I knew that it was him because of the threats that he made to the United States and his past with terrorism. You know, I was very angry at Osama bin Laden because he hurt innocent people for his misinterpretation of the Muslim religion. He misrepresented Arabs and he degraded the Muslim religion. I am Muslim. And my religion is nothing like he portrays it to be. I felt like people were treating me differently even though they may not have been. And you know what? If they were, then I guess I would have understood.
I was worried about how crazy people get during situations like these. I was more afraid of what American citizens may do, and I wasn't too far off. They did pull people out of cars and beat them. In fact, I ran into a gentleman who pulled somebody else, a Middle Eastern man, out of his car, beat him to a pulp. Yeah, people get really crazy during times like these. They like to strike back when they're angry, and most of the time, it's at the wrong people.
Everybody's talking about Pakistani this and Pakistani that. And when you see somebody who lives Middle Eastern, you're like, wait a minute, what's he doing wrong here? Why is he staring like that? I just don't trust anybody anymore. I mean, I'm going to be strictly honest with you. I'm so afraid of what might happen with anybody of Middle Eastern descent. I mean, come on, you see the pictures in the newspaper of suspects, and you get on the train, and you see somebody who might resemble that person you see in the picture. And you're like, oh my God, is it him?
I have very pride to be Pakistani. Because Pakistani has allowed the US into Afghanistan. But now I think it's going beyond that because they are doing the same thing that the terrorist people did here. They are hurting innocent women and children. And I think this is going to make it seem like it's a war on Islam. People are going to think that it's a war on Islam, and it's going to cause more fight between them. I don't know what else is.
My mom tried to explain it to me. She said, do you know what's going on in the world? Do you know what just happened? I said no. Because she was being really stupid. Even though she tried to make me feel better. But then I saw some stuff on the news that was sad, and I cried a little, I guess. Because some lady was having her wedding, and she only had enough money to fly her mom over, so her dad had to get on a separate flight. And that was the one that crashed. Every time I go to the mall, I think there's going to be some kind of terrorism attack, and I think I'm going to die.
The first day, no one thought that their loved one was dead, you know? Everyone thought that their loved one got hit by a brick or something, no. The first night, people were angry. They were like, let me go in there. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to help my mother-in-law find my brother. Isn't there a hospital list? Everyone wanted to see a hospital list.
My friend Wilbur, he worked at Hannah Fitzgerald, which was on the 100th or 104th floor. And I was just thinking, oh my God, you know, I was watching the news and I saw old people getting out, and I was like, strong, you know? Strong. Sure he made it out. And I just figured, you know, maybe he's in the hospital or something, so I started calling hospitals, and I was on the email, and I didn't get a response. But I still have my hope up.
My mother called me. She told me that my father's company went into the towers, and I didn't think twice about it, you know? I just thought he'd be helping people out the building and stuff. But then she called me. She was crying and sounded really nervous, so I went home. We watched the news together. I just remember seeing all these people either hurt or dead, and I felt bad for them and their families. It was 5 o'clock and my father hadn't called. I guess I was being naive, you know. Kept on thinking as soon as he was free to call, he would.
And then the next day, oh no, I found out he passed away. And I was like, no, it doesn't make any sense. He made it out. I know he made it out. And I couldn't sleep. I was so scared. And then the second day we couldn't sleep. There was everybody in my house was just crying and praying that he would come home. But he never made it home.
Later that night, I received a call. He told me that my father had passed away. I didn't want to believe it, you know. I just thought he was somewhere either hurt and he needed help. He was stuck, but they told me that he went into the towers with his company and the towers collapsed before he got out. I'm okay. I'm okay. I just, I've never been so angry in my entire life, you know. I was in shock. They have no right taking my daddy away.
The very next day, it hit me for the first time. I had all these mixed emotions because there were thousands of people wrapped around the block, all the way up to the FDR, just looking for their loved ones.